Hello and welcome to Football 301. It's the fifth quarter, the divisional round fifth quarter. We're going to be reviewing all four divisional round games, starting from the Saturday afternoon game all the way to Sunday night with that Bills-Ravens brouhaha. Came down to a little 2-point conversion drop from Mark Andrews. But like I said, we're going to be reviewing all these games, diving into them, what stood out to us, looking forward to the conference championship games as well. Maybe a little, post-mortem for the losing teams. To help me do that, as always, on the fifth quarter is my guy, Charles McDonald. How you doing today, Mr. Verts?
I'm doing good. This was a fun weekend of football. I think we finally got the Bills-Ravens game that the second half sure lived up to the hype. Commanders are headed to the NFC Championship game, so lots to talk about. Maybe some stuff we didn't see coming, but that makes it all the more fun.
Yeah, kind of some familiar faces. In these games on both sides, both conferences, and a team that I don't think any of us predicted in the Commanders making it to the NFC Championship game, but we'll be recapping that win against the Lions. But let's start with that Ravens-Bills barn burner. The Bills won 27-25. Like I said before, it came down to the 2-point conversion. Really a battle of the run games with the Ravens getting a couple turnovers throughout this game. 3 turnovers to be exact that really kneecapped them. Really did a good job of limiting Josh Allen through the air. But Allen, his legs, James Cook's legs, Ray Davis's legs really took off. Allen finished with just 127 passing yards, 20 rushing yards, 2 rushing TDs, a couple hard runs inside the 5-yard line. James Cook, a Football 301 Most Improved Player Award nominee, shortlist guy, 67 yards, 15 receiving yards. Ray Davis with 29 rushing yards, a touchdown. Khalil Shakir, the zone beater himself, finishing with 67 yards. Lamar kind of did his Lamar game, and we're waiting for some of this wonkiness that he'll have. He had a wonky interception. We'll talk about the turnovers. They're pretty brutal. Not just him, but Mark Andrews as well. Lamar finished with 254 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 39 rushing yards. Derrick Henry, 84 rushing yards, a touchdown. Isaiah Likely and Rashad Bateman both finishing with a touchdown. Mark Andrews was 61 yards himself, but that fumble and a couple key drops. Charles, now that we've taken maybe 2 breaths since that game ended, because literally ended about 10 minutes ago.
Right.
What are some of your takeaways after the Bills took that one home?
Man, I forget who said it. Someone on a different team said, basically the only team that can beat the Ravens is the Ravens. I don't remember who said it.
I think it was Myles Garrett, right?
Yeah, Myles Garrett. Yeah, that's right.
Which is saying something.
Yeah. I mean, look, he would know best because remember the game that they beat Baltimore this year. Yep. Kyle Hamilton had the game won on an interception that you just dropped the next play, touchdown, and you're done. But man, like they just shoot themselves in the foot, and it's always in like the most catastrophic ways too. You know, it's never just something, damn, just a normal fumble, messed up, we're back out on the field. It's no, like we couldn't catch a snap, and now we're like 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and then we're going to fumble again, and it was just a mess. I think maybe with the interception that he threw, you could maybe break it down and say just kind of a sloppy play by everyone involved there, but. Dude, you just like you can't fumble the ball like that, and then with Mark Andrews, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say about that. Just so many bad moments and huge pivotal spots for him.
And for whatever reason, Mark Andrews has had one of the highest drop rates in the NFL since the last few years, at the very least, but really since he's joined the league. And every time he drops the ball, the commentator always says, the sure-handed Mark Andrews dropping another ball. It's like, no. This is his thing. As he drops the football, probably at the worst times possible. But we've talked about this, especially going against the Steelers, was the Ravens kind of have these Ravens games where they kind of just do some stupid things. And Lamar has a wacky moment. And usually it's the Steelers. Maybe it's another divisional game. And the first Steelers game, it happened. Okay. Second Steelers game, it didn't happen. And then I think you and I kind of both said there was a non-zero chance it might happen last week in the playoffs. Okay, it didn't happen in that game. And I think that's the thing, is like, you just never know when they're going to come, especially when you least expect it. You think that they're rising up and that they're going to overcome it, not having these wacky turnovers. And there it is. Lamar threw the threw the one. I got to find them. I got to watch that one all 22 before I kind of like blame anybody on that. Lamar was taking fault for it, but quarterbacks do that. The fumble, like you said, it was a snap. I thought Romo did a great job of, well, he was a little all over the place tonight, but did a great job. I like Romo a lot. I really do. And then tonight he was just all over the place, but he did a great job of talking about how slick the ball is, and not slick from perspiration. Like, it's more from like just the temperature, just being dry and just kind of that really, when it's cold, the ball would just become slick. As a former quarterback who refused to wear gloves, like that I used to hate that because you'd just be like, why did that ball do that? And then the Mark Andrews fumble after he gets a first down. But I thought the Bills were methodical all night. They only had 2 explosive plays the entire night, but finished with over a 50% success rate, which is saying something against this Ravens defense that we both looked at as a top 5 unit, I would say, easily in the last 2 months, month and a half. Over a 60% rushing success rate, 20 for 33 on design runs. I actually think it's 21 for 34. They got the one right at the end. Third best game for the Bills since McDermott took over, of minimum 30 rushes. Best performance against the Ravens, or the Ravens' worst performance, I should say, against the run this entire year. Their previous high success rate allowed was 47.6, and it was 60.6 in this game. Also, that was the Bills in week 4, funnily enough. Worst game in terms of EPA per rush. I thought Josh Allen was targeting passing game wise their weaknesses, but kind of up and down. I thought the Ravens defense did do well as passing game wise, but turnovers, a really good run game, and that's playoff football for you. Like that's what that kind of felt like. A couple just brutal pivotal moments, and then the Bills just took advantage, and this is what they've been able to do all season.
Yeah, it was like, it's just gotta be so frustrating. Like if you're a Ravens fan, because even with the sloppy stuff that they had, especially in the first half, second half, like you were moving, man. In the second half, the Ravens, they averaged 8.1 yards per play. They had a success rate of 53%. They had a rushing success rate of 69%. They averaged 0.4 EPA per rush in the second half. They had an explosive play rate of almost 30% in the second half. But
they wrapped them up.
But you still shot yourself in the foot that one time when you're down 24-19, and Lamar's doing his thing. He's giving guys time to get open. Mark Andrews gets open, and then he fumbles the ball. But outside of that, like they really took it to him in the second half. Because even on the flip side, Buffalo, their passing success rate in the second half was 26.7%. And they averaged 3.8 yards per play. So like it almost felt like last year, right? Where in the second half of the AFC title game, Baltimore's defense, like they damn near pitched a shutout against Kansas City, but they couldn't get enough going. And this time, you actually did get enough going, but you just still hurt yourself again with the terrible turnover and then the drop on the 2-point conversion.
Right. Every stat you look at, outgained them, out efficiency, explosives, just everything. And usually when it's like, oh, well, they probably couldn't run the ball. It's like, no, the Ravens ran the ball fine. And we're getting runs. And the Bills were trying stuff. I think me and a few other people, we've talked about maybe they would do 3 linebackers out there, and they did, but the Ravens still stomped them, even though they had 3 linebackers. And it was like, well, there goes that factoid. Throw that one out. That didn't do anything. But I thought the Bills, that's what I love about playoff football, is that we build up all these tendencies and all these things. And we have access to true media, which is great. And you can look at all these things, and then all these teams just break them, which is really fun to see. And the Bills tried to kitchen sink it, but that speaks to the Ravens, is that their offense is so good that you could do all this stuff and they still find a way, unless they just have brutal turnovers. But the Bills have had this offense all year. This is what their defense kind of is. That's why I kind of maybe leaned against them in this game, even though it was kind of a coin flip. I just don't know what performance their defense is going to bring. They have injuries on the back end. They kind of just been fine. The linebackers are been healthier, but maybe not playing 100%. Their pass rush is solid. It's good, but it's not overwhelming. It's just like a lot of fineness, but not a lot of greatness. And going against the Ravens, it was a little scary, but they managed to get those big plays, and their offense was able to take advantage. And this is their formula. They didn't. Also, credit to Joe Brady for not listening to pass the ball, throw the ball right now. I should throw the ball right now. I've been calling too many runs. He didn't listen to it, which is like, Like, good job. Like, good job. Don't listen to the Green Goblin mask of throwing the ball.
Dude, I wanted, like, I wanted when Lamar had the big pass to I think it was not Tylen Wallace, because it was in the first half when they got down to like the 2-yard line. And then they ran the first play. It was
Bateman.
Stuffed.
Yeah, it was Bateman.
Bateman.
Really nice play. Yeah.
They ran the first play, got stuffed, and then they just abandoned it immediately. I'm like, dude, no, just hit
physics.
Just get out there in 22 and just mash it 4 times in a row until you get those 2 yards. That's why you got Derrick Henry.
That was why you paid for him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I just think about where that game could have been if they could have scored a touchdown there, because then you're in much better shape on the final drive. You can even survive the Andrews fumble through the field goal. But man, it's just they're so close, and they just need to get out of their own way, you know?
Right. Let's talk about it real quick. What do you think, right, first blush, Ravens need next to go in 2025? Like, God, they were really coming together. Like, this is 2 of the best teams, obviously, like, going at it. So it's like not a bad team to lose to. It's not like you got really upset, but they just need a couple more things. But I just really thought they were pushing this year. Like, I really did think they're on a nice upswing. But anything come to mind that you think that they need to address this offseason?
Like pass rush for sure. That's the big one. Like, they've taken swings on a bunch of guys recently, but they're still looking for, you know, a real deal dude off the edge. Yeah. And then, like, you could even do better on the offensive line too. Like, they were able to obviously do what they did this year, and, you know, probably off of my assessment of the offensive line preseason, but there's still room to improve there for sure. It's hard to find like too many faults with this roster. Maybe you guys see like what you're thinking about with Mark Andrews next year, but even then, like, still a good player. Player, even when you got to deal with some of this crap. And, you know, honestly, the tough thing about, like, when you're in a space like where Baltimore and Buffalo have been over the past few years, it's like all you can do is just kind of reload and go at it again next year and just keep chipping away until you get it done.
Because it's not like a squint and you're a contender. It's like, no, you're a contender. Like, you know, it's like, you know, I'm not like, this goes right for you. It's like, no, you guys are winning 12 games. You know, you guys can win a playoff game or 2, and I don't have to really see too much weirdness happening. So yeah, like you said, it's kind of sometimes the toughest spot, because you like kind of want to shake it up, but it's like, all right, maybe we shouldn't. But if Todd Monken is getting coaching interview jobs, offensive coordinator, I thought the defense, you know, Zach Orr's not getting interviews right now, but he did a great job in the second half of the year with Dean Pease coming in there too as well. But they're going to be coming back. Maybe Monken comes back as well. He might be he's an interesting head coaching candidate, so I'm curious if it does go anywhere. Lamar is Lamar, Derrick Henry, like you said, I'm with you. I think trenches in some way, shape, or form, whether it's offensive line or defensive line. And then the Bills move on to play the Chiefs, which is that's nice and juicy. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about that one. We're going to be taking our first break, though, and we'll be back in a sec with those 2 NFC games that happened this weekend.
Introducing Daily Draw, the latest free-to-play game from Yahoo Sports. Daily Draw gives you a pack of 6 prediction cards every day based on the day's biggest sporting event. Download or update the Yahoo Sports app on the Apple App Store or Google Play and join the action with Daily Draw today.
All right, we are back to the other Sunday matchup. This one was the NFC. The Eagles taking this one 28-22. Very entertaining game in the snow. Rams made a little push at the end there, but Jalen Carter did big things. Your preseason defensive player of the year pick, by the way, who, like, I think next year might be the year for.
I think I'm a year too early. I think I was a year too early for it.
Holy crap. I was going to save his stats till later, but Jalen Carter was all over the place today. Stafford got sacked 5 times. Jalen Carter had 6 pressures, 2 quick pressures, 2 sacks, a huge one at the end of the game. Saquon Barkley for the Eagles had 205 rushing yards. The Eagles had 285 rushing yards total. So yeah, a lot of running the ball. Jalen Hurts finished with 65 net passing yards. He took 7 sacks for 63 yards. So that really hindered that. So the passing wasn't really happening. Wasn't really mostly because of snow, because the Rams had some success passing, not all the time, but some success there. But the Eagles ground and pound. This should be their strategy every week. Saquon Barkley went off a couple huge explosive runs early. Jalen Hurts had one, his longest rush of his career, I believe. Saquon Barkley had a couple huge ones. Their defense did their thing, won with some pass rush. I did think the Rams moved the ball fairly well throughout the day, but made enough plays in the end and took this one home. But Eagles took this one by 6 points. What were some of your thoughts on the Philadelphia victory, Chuck?
Man, playing snow, just not good. Just not good. I mean, that's not the only reason why the Rams lost, but I mean, they like Kyron Williams, even he had forced fumble from Jalen Carter too in that game.
That's right.
And like these are, I always think that snow games are kind of funny to look at, like pressure to sack ratio, because it's usually just off the charts. Like, because it's so hard. Like, you're not running away from these guys. Like,
if you're with the same place,
right? You're standing still in the pocket, and then you got to run. Your first step, you're probably slipping, so you might as well just eat it and not fumble the ball. So Jalen Hurts got sacked a bunch. Matt Stafford got sacked a bunch. But I think if you're an Eagles fan, like obviously the way you ran the ball today, that was good. You got the explosives. Maybe you could have been a smidge more consistent down and down. But the passing game, like you gotta start squeezing some more out of this. I mean, you finished the game with 65 net passing yards.
Yeah.
And you're able to win because defense blacked out. Saquon Barkley had some massive runs. But man, you would hope that with all this money you're investing in draft picks that you've invested via trades, via contracts, via extensions into the passing game, you'd be able to do a little bit better than like flirting with 100 passing yards a game in the playoffs. It's not very good.
With the defense selling out against the run. Yeah, Goddard had 56 receiving yards. DeVonta Smith, 21 receiving yards, both on 4 catches. A.J. Brown finished with 14 receiving yards. And I get, like, this always should be a run-first team, especially with Barkley and that offensive line. But the passing game every drop back shouldn't feel like a heart attack. Like, you have no idea how this is going to finish and if you guys are going to survive it. Like, it just, anytime there's a pressure, it's just everything freezes. Like, time freezes for Jalen Hurts and just anything that's about to happen. But you mentioned the pressure to sack. He took 7 sacks on 13 pressures, which that 54% pressure to sack rate. So pressure to sack rate is a great way to kind of see quarterback, how they mitigate the pressures that they were given. About 20%, give or take, is about average, 18%. If you get over 20%, you're getting into the danger zone. So 54% today. For reference, Matthew Stafford got sacked 5 times on 20 pressures. So that's a 25% pressure to sack rate while throwing it over 3 yards further, air yards. And he's also 10 years older and probably runs a 40 about half a second slower. So, that's a little bit of difference there, and probably does not have the same offensive line. I like the Rams offensive line. They get the most out of it, but it's not the Eagles offensive line. I also thought Sean McVay, as much as I love the under center and the play action that they do, you could see where snow hindered that as well. Because like Stafford trying to step up and his offensive lineman adjusting to Carter and Milton Williams and all these guys, like you could see some of that center interior pressure getting there, which was kind of interesting. I haven't really thought about that because it's been all you see is shotgun usually. I don't have to really have thoughts about under center play action in the snow. But I thought they had a great run game today. The Rams did. They ran a trap play. Sean McVay does not run trap. This was only the 10th time they pulled somebody this entire season, I was like, oh, wow, they're kitchen sinking this. I thought the Eagles adjust really well. You felt a lot of tight windows that Stafford had to throw in. I thought the DBs were really closing on some stuff. Quinion Mitchell got hurt, but I thought they were really closing on stuff. But it's like, I feel good about the Eagles defense. I feel good about the Eagles run game. I feel good about the Eagles offensive line. Just this passing game is just like, and here they are in the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
But man, it's just still this gigantic question mark.
It is kind of cool to see though. It's a very pure way of playing football. We're going to run the ball and we're going to play defense and we're going to hit you really hard on both sides. And it works. It works, especially when you got Saquon Barkley and your running back is a 240-pounder that can run a 4.3. Like that really helps.
Right.
But even then, it's just like, dude, you got A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith. Why can't you throw the ball a little bit better? And I know with Chris Shula, I think he did a great job of the 2 playoff games that they had, especially like given the hand he was dealt. I mean, you look at the personnel. This is still very much a rebuilding defense in terms of how they're trying to stock the talent. Like you get those performances from Verse and Fisk this year, but they're still rookies. Like they're still working on this. So he did a great job this year. But I still feel like, dude, we got AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith. We should be able to just get down the field and do something. And I know he completed 15 of his 20 passes today. I thought they had a few nice plays after the catch in this one. Still, it's just kind of tough for me to get all the way on board. Like, yeah, they can win the Super Bowl with this kind of passing game where it's at right now. But all you got to do is beat the Commanders to get there, which is not like some insurmountable goal. So we'll see what happens. You know, you're one game away. So I guess all this criticism doesn't really matter all that much.
That's what I feel so weird talking about them. It's so like, weird. And they put up points, they beat good teams. And it's like, and even just looking at number stuff before, they made all the thresholds that I look at, offense and defense, like looking at like just statistical profile, like the Ravens and the Eagles had the two best ones as far as just whole team offense and defense. And then I kind of was just like, I just can't get there though. Like, it's just like, I should. And I see the names and I see what they run and I just can't. I'm glad what you talked about, like it's pure football. The word I think of just the Eagles is vertical. Not that it's like go balls all the time, but more just the run game is vertical and the run and all the routes are just like at you, one-on-one beaters at you. Nothing is side to side. It's just vertical. But yeah, it's unbelievable that they won their division again, have double-digit wins, and I just have even more questions about the passing game than I thought I would going into this season. This is the offense. This is what the passing game is going to look like when Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. We've now seen it with several different coordinators now. He has his preferences. He has the stuff that he thinks he's good at and wants to run. And you just feel a cap on this offense. You feel a cap on the passing game because he's not executing, I don't think, consistently. And a lot of times when he's getting pressured, like the safety, he gets pressured there like pretty quickly. But again, he freezes. It's not a quick answer where I see guys, as soon as they get the instant pressure, they do that kind of half roll out of the pocket and bail and throw it away because they're like, oh, shoot, okay, play's done. Like, play's done. I'm backed up. I should not be trying to create something. That's like the key to NFL quarterbacking is don't make a bad play worse. And I just feel like Hurts makes a lot of plays worse when things are just not going well. When there's another rookie quarterback we're going to talk about where I feel like when stuff wasn't going well, he's turning it into positive plays, not even just neutral plays. And that's crazy to think about. That's a rookie as opposed to a guy that's paid $40-something million a year, $50 million a year. And here we are again.
The sack on the Hail Mary was going into halftime. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it doesn't matter what level of football you're at. Just chuck it up there. If you throw a pick, that's not even real. Like no one even thinks of that as a real interception. Yeah, maybe on the stat sheet, like, but when you contextualize it, everyone knows that that's not actually like a real interception that, you know, in like the standard course of play. So like that sack was bad. The safety was bad where
the bootleg sack,
and even the safety one was alarming too, because we've seen quarterbacks like very recently in recent weeks and a lot this season, like the refs are letting them get away with just kind of just dirting it like right in front of them if there's anyone within the vicinity. And you had someone, you had two people.
We saw Goff in week 18 against the Vikings or something. I think it was. Yeah.
And then Stafford got away with it a couple times against the Vikings as well. Curse existence for them. But I was just like, man, like you got to be able to think a little faster, like be an athlete. And I just
be an athlete. That's such a good. Yes.
And I don't know. You're in the NFC Championship game though, so I guess things can't be that bad. I get confused that this keeps working. You know, like there's one area of this team that is clearly just not good at all right now, but it doesn't matter because we can play defense and we can get a 6-yard rushing touchdown when we feel like it.
It truly is. It does not compute. It doesn't. That's what stinks. We focus so much on this because it's like, okay, the touchdown runs, the long runs are just beautiful. Like the Saquon Barkley 60-yarder was awesome. Outside zone, Becton shoving a linebacker like 10 yards. And then the other one, Hurts keeps on the run, which is good. His rushing ability unlocks some stuff, but it's not like it's their fastball. It's just like, you know, they sprinkle it in twice When you watch the Bills and you watch Josh Allen run, it's like, oh, here it comes. And then there's another touchdown. Good job. But then you watch this, it's like, oh, the GT counter was great. And it goes for a touchdown. Hurts keeps it. It's beautiful. Like, and then the last Saquon Barkley, which I thought was the dagger until the Rams came back. That's another one where I don't know who to blame yet, but it might have been Jared verse here. But somebody did not get the gap, and it was a perfect example of Saquon Barkley. Like, this is what good running backs do. Oh, someone's not in the B gap there, gone. It's not even just like a 5-yard gain; it's a touchdown. And it's just a great example, as you know, front seven guy. Every defender has to be in a gap, and you have to have a hat into each gap. It's just math of football, and the gap is between the guard and the tackle, or center the guard, tackle and the tight end. I'm trying to explain that. Yeah. So it was great. That's what the Eagles do.
That just reminded me of the year I was coaching. I was trying to teach these kids run fits, and they just didn't get it. And I was like, dude, you ever played Connect 4 before? And like, oh yeah, I played Connect 4 before. And I was like, okay, you're a red checker piece, all right? And you're gonna go down here and you're gonna be the next red checker piece. And they're like, oh, so we're just like filling the slots. I'm like, yes. That's all it is. Well, you still have to be a when you get there and make the tackle, but that's why that's all defense. It is.
I can never just like Urikai at Helms Deep blow up a gap for somebody else. Chris Borland talked to me about that. He goes, I know what the run's about to be, but I know I have to be in the A gap. And if I'm not in the A gap, the play is going to go for a touchdown. But I know the run's going to go over here. And I know it. Like, I know it, but that's why the term is better be. If you do that, you better be right. Because otherwise the touchdown happens. I feel like the Rams deserve like a long focus breakdown, looking at their postmortem and everything. So we'll see what Stafford is. He said he has more left in the tank. So, that's the first and foremost thing they have to decide. I would like to see them draft an offensive lineman in this draft and get some youth in there, get some pedigree. They've been on a drafting tear lately. So let's just keep the good times going. Maybe you get a lineman here. Maybe you have to get another Cooper Kupp replacement. But I feel they're just an interesting team. Super young defense that has some cool coaching going on both sides of the ball. And I just all up to whether Stafford keeps playing. I mean, that's really that'll decide all the other conversations with them.
Yeah, a funny ass season. Like they and I think this
1-4.
Yeah, they started 1-4, but I feel like this is rather obvious, especially since we already sat through like an offseason of McVay retirement rumors, and we know Les Snead's kind of an eccentric character himself. Like, no, I don't think any team like rides the emotional vibes harder than the Rams. Because remember, they were about to trade Cooper Kupp, and then they had the one game where Stafford, Puka, Cooper, they were all on the field together, and they just felt good about it. And then as soon as the game was over, Sean McVay was like, trade Cooper Kupp. What are you talking about? We were never going to do that.
Rumors were coming out like during warmups. Like,
right. I wonder where they would be if they didn't have like the final couple drives where they were getting things humming and they had a chance to come back at the end, because they've just gotten stomped. Do they have a different answer at the end of that game?
And so it's like, ooh, maybe we can keep this going. Like, it's a taste in their mouth. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Maybe they're like, no, that sack is just going to live in their minds too. But you're so right though, because remember after they won the Super Bowl, I think they celebrated it for 4 straight months.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Just remember those draft videos. It's like, oh my God, guys, the draft's still going on. It's not even over.
Yeah. The Puka draft video is basically them just going, he's freaking awesome. He's freaking awesome.
Like high fiving each other, like slapping each other and stuff. I know. Hey, they're on fire with these drafts. So something's working for them. Jordan Rodriguez had a great article on it. So go check that out on The Athletic. But the Eagles, though, took this game, and they are going to be playing their NFC East rival, who won the other NFC matchup, the Commanders, with a huge upset over the Lions, 45-21 at Ford Field. Wow. This was, I'll tell you what, I saw 2 plays, and I was like, this is going to be interesting. Second play of the game, Dante Fowler absolutely just smokes David Montgomery. And then the other play, Commanders get the ball, they're going no huddle, and the Lions are huddling on defense. I was like, this is going to be this. The Commanders got them. I was like, this isn't good. Like, Lions had time to prep, and they're huddling on defense. That's not what we want to see. But Commanders take this game onto the NFC East or NFC Championship game. NFC East rival, not only that, but Jayden Daniels finishing with 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 51 rushing yards, couple beautiful overthrows that had me going as I was watching this in the living room, hooting and hollering. Brian Robinson Jr., 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, 47 yards rushing, 41 yards receiving. Thank you for making that tout come true. Diami Brown, man, I really liked him coming out of North Carolina. He's had a nice little season. Had 98 yards. Terry McLaurin had a touchdown. Zach Ertz had a touchdown. Great little man beater. Shout out Cliff Kingsbury. Got to give him his flowers because I thought he was on fire. Shout out to Bobby Johnson, their offensive line coach. But I thought Kingsbury, the Washington Commanders, had some great man coverage beaters the entire game. Jayden Daniels was operating great, calm. On the other side, Jared Goff, not his best performance. Over 300 yards, of course, touchdown, 3 picks, a fumble loss, 3 turnovers in the first half. Jahmyr Gibbs put up a whole bunch of yards. Oh my God, they have 270 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Jameson Williams had a couple touchdowns, plus one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see in your entire life. Amon-Ra St. Brown went over 100, and Sam Laporta got a touchdown as well, and a beautiful catch on a Jared Goff doing his best Patrick Mahomes impression on that touchdown throw.
Yeah.
But man, credit to the Commanders, man. I thought their offense was cooking, took it to them. And I thought their defense did a lot, especially their interior defensive line. But Charles, what are some of your thoughts on the big Commanders upset?
I mean, there are a lot of places to go, but I think I'll start with if you play on the Detroit Lions offense and your name is not Jared Goff, you should be throwing up today. Because the more because I kept looking at the score, especially at halftime, and I'm like, damn, you're down 31-21 at halftime. It seems like things have gone pretty well for you. And they scored, I think, a first drive out of halftime to cut it to 31-28. So if you just take those their first 8 drives of the game where they're down 31-28 by the end of them, they averaged 8.8 yards per play. They had a success rate of 61.7%. They had a 62% pass success rate, 67% rush success rate. They had a 66% red zone success rate, 22% explosive play. I mean, they were
they won, right?
Yeah, right. They're mowing them down. But no, they actually had 3 turnovers in that span, including a pick 6 that gave Washington points directly. And it's just dude, it's really, you have to have some catastrophic mess ups for you to not win this game when your offense is buzzsawing them, because they finished with a much higher success rate than the Commanders did for this game. But you just had too many brutal turnovers, and I can't get over the Jameson Williams interception, because dude, they were down by 10 with 12:30 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Down by, if you're the Lions and you're down by 10 with 12 minutes left in the game, you could still run your normal offense. They probably could have scored a touchdown, but you just kind of overthought it, or maybe underthought it, and you get an interception, and it just kind of got away from you. And when Jayden Daniels and Cliff were as locked in as they were going to be, you just couldn't survive that. You couldn't survive that. So that was sloppy. It's like the Lions, they still played well for a good chunk of this, but just too many specific key plays where they blew it, and then the Commanders were just on fire on offense.
Yeah, there are 12 explosive plays, and all I remember, I don't remember any of them. I just remember the turnovers, because I'm just Jameson Williams has the gadget play touchdown, and I don't care to talk about it, because all I want to talk about is the gadget play interception that he threw, because that was their day. It was one awesome, sweet play, and then one thing that they tried to do, and it just blew up in their faces at the worst time. The pick 6 was brutal. It felt like there's a little bit of pressure there. I think no, actually, he wasn't even pressured on that play, if I remember correctly, actually. But Goff under pressure, he was 4 for 14, 65 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, sacked twice. And that's always been his MO. He's been a little better this year under pressure, but it was, if you put pressure on Goff, he'll kind of unfold. And that's how it felt today. I felt Saturday. And I felt also that, not to talk about the guy that has 5-6 coaching offers and everything, but Ben Johnson was sometimes, I don't know, the formula felt a little weird, Felt a little pass happy a few times. He's never really a pass happy guy, but I felt like they could have just been obnoxious about how much they ran the ball. It just felt like a couple times he just went to the pass and something bad happened and he got punished for it. But I do think too is that the interior pressure was getting there. I thought the Washington interior defensive line, Jonathan Allen had 4 pressures on 22 pass rushes, which is just ridiculous. And 2 of those were quick. Deron Payne had some pressures. Johnny Newton had some pressures. I already mentioned Dante Fowler had a nice game, had a phantom face mask call as well. Graham Gaskell got his butt whooped. And I think some of the pressures were because his pressures that he led to some of the bad plays. But that just kind of shows like that's, and the onslaught. Oh, also some sloppiness too. The Commanders had like 12 men on the field in that 4th down.
Yeah.
It was just, if it looked like a team that had 2 coordinators that had a lot of interviews in the last 2 weeks. If you ask me, and I'm being a little funny here, but I'm being a lot of serious here. That's what it looked like to me. It felt like they were like, yeah, we got our stuff. We're good, which they are. But it just, around the edges and the margins, just felt like they kind of got outworked and they just kind of lost it on that. And that's how the playoffs go. But man, props to Commanders though. The offense, Jayden Daniels. They put up 2 EPA drive, which is always good. Couple super awesome long drives. They went 3 for 4 on 4th down. The only failed one was the little botched thing from Mariota that they had in there. They had a beautiful mesh one that converted on 4th down. The 4th down keeper that Jayden Daniels kept. That one day a defense will figure it out. That on 4th and 1, Cliff Kingsbury calls quarterback keepers with Kyler Murray and Jayden Daniels. That happens all the time. But I just thought that over and over, hey, the Lions are playing man coverage. They run like 3 coverages. Okay, we're going to just run all these man beaters. And I thought they just dialed up the right stuff over and over. So again, I want to give props to their coaching staff.
Yeah. This is an interesting game, like as a turning point for Detroit because you're probably going to lose both coordinators. I mean, I've seen people say maybe you don't hire Aaron Glenn now. I think that's kind of crazy. It's like,
it's what he did in the season that you
right. Yeah, you got the whole thing. 2 weeks ago against Minnesota, we were saying, "Holy, this guy's a genius."
One of the best performances ever.
You're right. That was 2 weeks
crazy
ago. But they have too much talent for this to be bad. Like immediately soon, like even with the coordinator changes, your talent base is too high. You're going to get a bunch of guys back from injury. Hopefully, those guys are ready to go next year. But this felt like the year, right? And unfortunately, they got crushed by injuries. But the offense was humming. When the defense was healthy, or even like half healthy, they were a really good unit.
Good.
Yeah, they were still good. And you just to lose in this manner.
Yeah,
that kind of sucks, especially for one of the teams that was so much fun to watch during the season. I mean, that middle stretch in the season where they beat the Jaguars like 52-6 and the Cowboys like 47-3 or something like that. I'm like, oh, this team is overwhelmingly good. Right. Overwhelmingly good. And you just kind of lost to war of attrition. Then Jared Goff had a horrible game at the worst possible time.
And it was set up for them, that home field advantage, playing the Dome throughout the playoffs. And if they made the Super Bowl, they would still play in the Dome, in the Superdome. Or the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, I believe it's called now. But it like you said, it felt like this was the actual season. Last year was the kind of we've announced ourselves, and then this year was the push where they got the additions on the team. Other guys took a step up, like Lee McNeil when he was healthy took a step up. The corner is playing so well. Okay, they've kind of shored up all the holes that they had on the roster, and then even like things, really good offense. A good defense for almost a whole year, and really most of the year they were above top 5, really, and then a top 5 special teams on top of that. So it was kind of one of those where it's like, all right, what hole do we have? Turns out turnovers by Jared Goff. Turns out a strip sack, sailed the pick 6, and then he threw the other one in the end zone. And again, these are the little things. Pressure gets there, pressure makes him move and take an extra hitch, and he's trying to throw a post. On that play, you can't take a second hitch. As soon as you take a second hitch, you have to check it down on double post concept. And Mike Sanders still makes a great play and undercuts it. But again, that's the margins of football. That's the margins of playoff football. One extra hitch because the guard gets beat by just like a foot, and it turns into an interception. Boom, season over. That's what it comes down to. Maybe it's not fair, but that's how hard it is to win these games. That's what it is. I know. Just like that. Just a foot short, a foot slow. What's the freaking Any Given Sunday line from Al Pacino? A quarter inch slow, whatever. I'm butchering it.
We've been a long weekend, tired.
Yeah, I know. Last one, I do want to give that I did see a concept I hadn't seen. Someone tweeted like, "Oh, I've seen this before." The Lions did the little handoff shovel play with David Montgomery. Even Tom Brady said I hadn't seen it. Someone found it. A Steelers ran it in 2004. Ran the same concept. Antoine Randall was a part of it. Antoine Randall is the Lions receiver coach right now. So yeah, I did. That was fun to find that one. But yeah, that's fun. That's all I got for the Lions. Yeah. But Commanders move on. Excited to watch them against the Eagles. Those were a couple fun games that they played during the season. Hopefully everyone stays healthy in these. But yeah, really excited to watch that one. Credit to them. Credit to their defense stepping up, getting the turnovers, and Jayden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury for having great games.
I said I said Commander's first pick in like August. Hilarious.
I didn't go that far, but I did say under win total. So I will. I'm not saying I'm not guilty here. Yeah, I said under
my preseason hot take. I missed it.
Yeah, missed it. It happens, and I don't know. I've been enjoying it. When I had to break him down, I was like, we're talking about the cliff, him falling off. And I broke them down. I'm like, this feels a little more real. They're doing a good job. I had some question marks with them still, but they're doing it every single time. And now Jayden Daniels joins the strange list of Sean King, Ben Roethlisberger, Mark Sanchez, and Joe Flacco as one of 5 rookies to start a conference championship game against the Eagles. Thanks for that note, by the way, Brett. But we're going to take our last break, and then we're going to wrap it up with Texans Chiefs. All right, last one here. This was the game that started off the weekend. That was Texans and Chiefs. Chiefs won this game 23-14. Patrick Mahomes with 177 yards, a touchdown, 18 yards on the ground. Had a nice scramble in there. Kareem Hunt, 44 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, it's playoff Travis Kelce. So he's feeling good. I don't know if he's Charizard mode, but he's maybe
not quite Charizard. Not quite Charizard.
Well, yeah. He Charmeleon. He's more Charmeleon right now.
Yeah.
117 yards, a touchdown. Xavier Worthy, 45 yards. Also got he got Thanos, or what did he get by Will Anderson? There's a meme where there's someone pulling. Oh, it can't be Thanos because it's DC. Someone's pulling Superman's cape.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. DC, fake Thanos. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's fake DC Thanos. Yeah, Darkseid, whatever his name is. All right, then CJ Stroud, who I thought had a really nice game, 245 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Had a really nice corner throw at the end that didn't matter at all. Also, some great scrambles. Playoff Stroud turns out to be a scrambler, just like how he was in college. Joe Mixon, another good day on the ground with a touchdown. Nico Collins, 81 yards. Dalton Schultz, 63 yards, and 3 sacks allowed from Dalton Schultz, I believe. And yeah, Texans have some pass rush, but it's just not enough. They had some special teams miscues in this game as well. But again, the Chiefs just do their thing, create pressure at the end, got after that Texans protection that was doing okay and then fell apart at the end there. But what were some of your thoughts in this game as the Chiefs take home another one and go on to another conference championship game?
Yeah, the protection was the big one because I was like, oh, you guys are all right. Like you're kind of holding up a little bit.
First half, I was like,
first half. Yeah. And then
I was like, is playoff Texans different? Like, Bobby Slug never mind.
Nope. And then in the second half, 60% pressure rate, 21% sack rate. Comparatively, Mahomes on the other end, 56% pressure rate, 7% sack rate. So, there's 15 right there. Maybe it's not the sexiest like statistical season you've ever seen, but like he's still really good. He's still really good. Still really, really good. So it just comes down to, I think for the Texans, I would say that this was kind of encouraging, even though the second half was just horribly sloppy, because you kind of did what you were supposed to do for the most part defensively, right? Like you really smothered their offense. They had 37% success rate for the day, the Chiefs did. They averaged 4.2 yards per play. They had 212 total yards throughout the game. can't. I mean, for your defense,
better. Yeah,
right. You said you were going to come in here and shut down the pass and be more overwhelming on the defensive line. For a lot of that, they were. The Joe Thuney sack where Will Anderson just whooped his ass around the edge. I was like, man, Joe's been good, but like, that's tough. That's tough, you know. I'm like, I can block a C+ edge, but an A, I don't know. I don't know about that.
That's where people think arm length sometimes is just like, oh yeah, because you do that. Arm length is getting bull rushed. Arm length is just keeping the guys out there just so you don't get bull rushed exactly like that. Yeah, Will Anderson was awesome. He tried to win the game himself. he was so very good. He had 4 pressures, 2 sacks, 1 quick pressure. Joe Thuney allowed 5 pressures and 2 quick pressures. Juwan Taylor had a very nice game, I will say that. Mike Caliendo had 7 pressures allowed, 1 quick pressure. So he had his work. He got his work in. He was definitely getting his money's worth for this first career playoff start going out there. But like you said, it was. The Texans were like, we're gonna create a bunch of one-on-ones, beat us, have Mahomes beat us over and over, have the run game beat us, have your protection beat us, have somebody win the coverage. This was one of those plays where I was like, if Texans win this game, this was kind of a great encapsulation of what went wrong, maybe for the Texans or for the Chiefs. Didn't matter, the Chiefs won. It was one of the classic little 4-by-1 play that these teams everybody runs, but it isolated DeAndre Hopkins on Derek Stingley, and he ran a little slant. Mahomes throws it, exact perfect read. He like glances over the linebacker, gets him out of the window, throws a slant, and Derek Stingley almost overran the throw because he beat it so bad. Like his coverage was so good, he almost overcovered it, and then he like bats the ball away like nothing happened. And I was just like, that's right there. That's the difference between these guys' skill players. Is Derek Stingley and Laster are a little bit better than the Chiefs receivers, but Mahomes just said, all right, I'll just throw to tight ends and running backs throughout the day. And it worked out well for them. They got enough on the run game and they got pressure throughout the day. Like you said, the pass protection at the end for the Texans was real bad. Those 3 plays in a row that basically ended the game. I mean, George Karlaftis had 8 pressures and 3 sacks. And several of those were on Dalton Schultz having to block him one-on-one, because this is what I always talk about the Texans offense and their offensive line is just that's lazy and kind of poorly coached. They were just doing full slide. And whenever you see an offensive line do a full slide, the ball has to get out quick. NFL pass rush is too good. You're doing that just to wad it up and just go, all right, we don't know who's coming, so we'll just wad this up. Quarterback will get it out in 2 seconds. We'll be fine. We'll just survive it. They're doing it and checking into it, which was like, to me, that's a white flag. Going like, we don't know.
We don't know.
We have no idea. We're gonna guess and hopefully we catch it. And then you're going against Spags, who has seen so many offensive line coaches try to do that to him. So there's Karlaftis on Schultz. The running back's supposed to help him. But what Spags will do is blitz somebody. So the running back has to pick up the blitzer. And then it's just sack, pressure. And it's just like, God, that was the Texans season. Kind of like those were the things that were missing this entire season was protection. And then, of course, at the worst moments, it showed up and reared its ugly head. And that's always the equalizer, is that pass rush stuff.
Yeah. I mean, at least the Texans, like, you feel better than you did maybe like 3 weeks ago about where you are. You still got a lot of work to do. Like, obviously, the offensive line needs work, but like, there's no reason to think that this defense should really be bad next year, unless like Danielle Hunter just falls off a cliff. But even then, you still got Will Anderson and Derek Stingley on rookie deals. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, literally 2 of the best, like 2 elite defenders in the NFL. All pros, yeah, on rookie deals. It's funny kind of looking back at the discourse on the Will Anderson trade up, you know. Sometimes it's not bad.
Especially seeing some of the edges that went in that class. You know, I mean, Verse is one, but name another guy. You know, so
yeah.
Also, we didn't talk about the Chris Boyd blow up.
Oh my God. Okay, actually rewatched it.
I meant to bring that up at the top, but
yeah. I studied the film on this. Like, I got kind of fixated on this. Yeah. And I realized that he at no point until after he shoved his coach did he know that the Chiefs had recovered the ball. Because I thought that it was like out of rage from the special teams coach barking at him for being a bozo.
That's what I thought.
But then when I saw him push the coach, and then he like flexes and gives a fist pump, like, hell yeah. And the coach is like, you just like horribly mess up, right? Like you got to stay on the field. So for those who don't know, first play of the game, Chris Boyd, he's a depth defensive back, special teamer for the Texans. Kansas City has a massive return, and Boyd catches from behind, throws into the ground, fumbles. The ball is fumbled in the process. As Boyd is like getting up, the ball bounces towards just like a swarm of Texans and Chiefs players, which he just assumed the Texans recovered. So he just
ran away.
Like the play is still going on. Like there are guys diving on the ball and he's running away. He took his helmet off, threw it on the ground, got a 15-yard penalty, shoves his coach. And I was like, whoa, that is a crazy start to this game. And I thought it was going to be a blowout. I was like, okay, you guys just aren't serious about this right now. Because the first play the Chiefs ran was in the red zone after the return and the penalty. But they held them to 3, and they just couldn't get enough offense on the other side. The fourth down, like 12-yard sack, I think, that they took, where it just seemed like D'Amico was out of sorts, the offensive line was out of sorts, CJ was out of sorts. And then next thing you know, you're 15 yards deep from the line of scrimmage, and you've got 3 Chiefs on your head. And that was kind of the end of it. But we'll see what happens next week, man, against the Bills, because I think that was one of the worst that the Chiefs offenses looked all season, but still one game away from the Super Bowl. You got the home playoff game. I don't know. It doesn't look good, but they're here. I can't
wait to overthink it 500 million times. Mike Zimmer had a quote about Chris Boyd. He said back in the day, I think Chris Boyd said something about Mike Zimmer. Some Vikings fan posted this. What's her name? Silver and Dow. He was replying to our friend Arif Hassan. He said, Chris Boyd, he says something about me. Zimmer told the Star Tribune. I'm like, dude, you had more special teams penalties than anyone I can remember, which is
still doing it.
If you knew nothing about Chris Boyd and then saw that sequence and then saw that quote, it's like, yeah, okay, he's got a type, or he has a certain thing he does. No, but also I would say the one thing that was disappointing about the Texans, I'll leave this, was a lot of complaining at the end there. A lot of
that was
people's got chill about the ref stuff, man. I don't know. I've been following sports my entire life, and it's like anyone that wins, everyone complains about the refs. And I remember the Bulls. I remember freaking Kobe and the Lakers. They got calls. Spurs got the calls. Back in the day, it was the Patriots got the calls. The Colts got the calls. Brett Favre used to get all the calls, according to me, when I was a kid. And then now it's just like every Chiefs game is just like, that's the only discourse that we have. Come on.
Yes.
Let's talk about something else there. So
no,
I don't know.
Let's not talk about anything else. Let's just talk about how unfair this is. Because if Patrick Mahomes wasn't getting penalties, then surely my team would be able to win the Super Bowl. That's how that works.
I'm sure the refs help them every one of these games that they win 16 games and win in the playoffs and win on the road and win in the neutral settings.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that the team that has like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid keeps finding themselves in advantageous decisions at key points in the game. It's crazy that happens. But the ref stuff, I thought the weirdest thing that I thought about when the game was over, because D'Amico said it, then Will Anderson said it. We knew we were going to have to play against them and the refs this week. And then Joe Mixon said it. I was like, yeah, were you guys talking about this all week? Absolutely. Like as you were getting ready for the game? But that's Absolutely. That heavy. Like you the game's over and you're just like, well, we knew we were going to have to play the refs too. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
That's why it kind of annoyed me. It was like, well, you guys already had it in your head. That's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. It's kind of high school Harry to me, if you're asking me. I don't know. Just a little bit. And I get it. To me, it evens out. Like, that's how, I read one study. If you wear black, your jersey's black, you get more flags against you, penalties against you. One time I read that in psychology stuff. But, I don't know. I just didn't like that. But anyways, I do like where the Texans are at. I like CJ Stroud. I like Will Anderson. Still like D'Amico Ryans. Think he's awesome. Still like Derek Stingley. So I just think for them, they have to fix that O-line. And that's, to me, was coaching. Somehow, some way fix it. I feel like they've already invested enough. But I think first and foremost, that's what they have to fix. They have pass catchers they have to find. Maybe a couple guys down the spine on defense, but they're sitting in a pretty good spot because they have some stars on both sides of the ball, which is where you want to be. Nico Collins as well, too. But Chiefs, Bills, Commanders, Eagles, got some great ones next week.
Congratulations to the executives over at CBS and Fox. Round of applause. You guys did it. You got Mahomes versus Allen in the NFC East conference title game. You guys won this weekend.
after we had Yankees Dodgers in the World Series. Oh, I know. Now they just need like Lakers Celtics or something like that. This is
going
great.
Straight chalk, man.
Yeah, all the way. Some original 6 teams in the NHL, and they'll be all good. No, but I'm excited. Conference championship game will be next week. We will be here recapping it, just like we were today on the 5th quarter of Football 301. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. Charles, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on not Twitter.
The ones that exist still.
Yeah. Hey, it's spooky out here, man. It's kind of a wild time to be on social media, but
it is.
Yeah, you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm actually heading out to Dallas this upcoming weekend to the Shrine game, going to Dion and Shador World down in Dallas. So
yeah,
after we hop on the pod, I'm sure we'll have some stuff to say about that too next Sunday.
I'm sure. I'm excited to hear about that. I think Travis Hunter will be there. I think the whole contingent's going to be there. So
no, I didn't know. I knew Dion and Shador were going to be.
I could be wrong with Travis. So misinformation there if I'm wrong.
he's the son that Dion always wanted to. So if he's there, no one will be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the new one right there. But that's gonna be fun. I know we also got Senior Bowl coming up. We got plenty of draft stuff coming up. We'll be having a mock draft. I'll be updating my big board. We'll be having some big board stuff coming up too. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But also, we did not get to one last Thursday, but please keep sending in those mailbag questions. They have been fantastic. Send them on over to football301mailbag at yahoosports.com. Or leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and you'll jump to the front of the line. We'll answer those questions on the Thursday show. Emails are great. Videos and voice notes would be great as well. Love to hear from you guys. Subscribe to us. Follow us. Rate us 5 stars. Like I said, watch us on YouTube on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Thanks to Madison, Stone, and Brett behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back on Tuesday. See you guys then.